Welcome to Andrea Lake 101, the making of a billionaire. Buckle up tight, you guys, because this week we are doing Sticker Wars, the past, present, and the future. We're roping in some of the aftermath actually from being on The Apprentice. What do you do if you have a super fucking frustrating, annoying week, which I sure did? That never happens, right? That's not even a thing, not even when you are scaling by 500% per year. What the fuck? Are we really scaling 500% per year for the next 5 years? Yeah, we really are. That's cuckoo pants crazy. That's insane. That's a lot. That's a lot. And as soon as we tell people that, their first response is to basically not believe me. That is a very, very understandable response. It is a cuckoo pants crazy thing to say that we are going to scale at 500% per year for 5 years. Most people think that that is not possible. And I'm like, cool. Watch me. We are now in our second year of 500% scale, which will leave us just shy of 10 million in annual revenue by next July, which means we are hockey sticking up right now. I have been back in the sales driver's seat for the last 8 weeks. We took the previous whole rest of the year up until about the end of September just to get everything caught up, get everything in line, get our duckies in a row, make things super fast, and have a working cohesive team. There was a lot of turnover as we were building that team at Sticker Junkie, and now we are cruise control humming along. So we're going to talk about the team at Sticker Junkie. We're going to talk about Spirit Week, which we just did for Halloween. Today, in fact, is Halloween. And avocado. It, in fact, is Halloween of 2025, and we just had our first annual Spirit Week at Sticker Junkie, which you can bet your bottom dollar we are going to do every year. So we will talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about how do you pick yourself up from a really frustrating week? How do you keep your eyes on the prize when things are distracting your attention? Good question. So without further ado, grab your popcorn, grab your wine, and as always, I will bring all of the tea on this episode of Andrea Lake 101, the making of a billionaire. Sticker Wars. Okay, so we are starting out with what I'm calling the aftermath of The Apprentice. I need to figure out a better word because aftermath does have a really negative connotation, and this was a really positive connotation. Now, as I shared in the Secrets of the Apprentice series, I didn't really tell people that I was on The Apprentice for years and years and years and years, for over a decade. Most of my closest friends who I had met through Summit or YPO or the Milken Institute or any of those other places, they didn't even know that I was a contestant on The Apprentice. I lived with people at the Winston house for a couple of years before I moved away and moved back into Sedona. There were people in the Winston house who I lived with who just found out that I was on The Apprentice like 10 years later. It just was never something that I talked about. And I used to say, sort of tongue in cheek, it's just not the most interesting thing about me. And so that sounds cocky as shit, but it is what it is. So it was so wild when Stickergate came along, and I'm just excited. I was excited to get any new clients, and so many new clients were banging down my door. And I was like, this is so funny that this is happening because of my competitor over at Sticker Mule having such a massive, massive love for Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, he just wrote a wild article. You guys, my competitor, who is the co-founder and CEO of Sticker Mule, who is now running for Congress, on a Trump agenda, has now come out last week with an article about TDS. What is TDS? It is Trump derangement syndrome. So in this article, he calls who disapprove of Donald Trump and his current presidency deranged. Is that something that I, as a CEO of a company, would do? Nar. No, I would not. That would be a no. I would 0% be doing that. The article is wild to me. He talks about different hoaxes. Read it for yourself. You can Google Anthony Constantino, Trump derangement syndrome, and the article will just come right up and you can get eyes on that yourself. It is so wild to me that my biggest competitor is bringing this level of politics into business. But he is. There is a 100-foot long vote for Trump light up sign on the corporate headquarters of Sticker Mule. Oh, and of course, the very wild decision to promote the R word pass. So Sticker Mule did 4 very professional commercials to bring back the word retard. How did that word just sound coming out of my mouth? No thanks. So I'm a huge believer in freedom of speech, obvi. And you can say whatever you want. But if you use the R word in common conversation or are a proponent of bringing back the R word, a whole lot of people are going to think that's a real bad idea. And a whole lot of people are not going to really want to be correlated with the company that's doing that as part of their corporate messaging and their corporate marketing. It's wild choices have been made. And I always thought it's so strange that there's this big sort of shakeup with Stickergate and the mad-capped multi-billion-dollar world of stickers, and that it was started because of this guy's love for Donald Trump, and that I personally know Donald Trump. There is a certain point at which I am the crazy one. If I'm not like, am I like the next contestant on jury duty and everybody else in my universe is just actors? I have to start asking it because so many insane things are happening again. But that is how the universe works, right? I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I've spoken about that before. And in a really simplified version of like not getting too fucking woo-woo about it, you are attracting what you're giving out. So this week when we had a couple of incredibly negative things go on, like how do I think my way through a situation like that? Don't worry, we'll talk about that next. But let's round out what I was saying about The Apprentice. After having been on The Apprentice and been like, flash in the pan famous, it was more than 15 minutes of fame back then because there just were so few TV shows. So I was able to leverage it and, get articles in Entrepreneur magazine and Wired and a bunch of different, I didn't even remember all the magazines that we were in, but myself or my companies were covered in all of the magazines. We were on Oprah. Just so much sudden media coverage that was available to me. And had social media been a thing, I really probably would have been an early day influencer, but it just wasn't quite yet. And by the time that it really did take off, I had already receded into privacy by, the early 2010s when social media really started to spike. However, most entrepreneurs and business people were happy to take meetings with me because I had been on The Apprentice. And most of them had seen me on The Apprentice. And they were like, sure, I'll take a quick meeting. So I end up getting meetings with basically any corporation that I want. Any entrepreneurs that I want to meet are happy to meet me. Plus, I'm in all these business groups, so I'm meeting all of these people. And I ended up putting together a mastermind group. Now, I know I talked about this a little while ago, like a year ago on an episode, but I'm going to expand that out. So why did I even want a mastermind group? Good question. Because I knew a lot of fucking baller business people. And I was a solopreneur and I didn't have community yet. Like Summit didn't even exist yet after I was on The Apprentice. And I had joined YPO, but my particular group of YPO, because I was living in New Mexico at the time, they were great, but they were way more corporate than me. And a lot of them had sort of lineage hand-me-down companies. So they were not entrepreneurs because YPO does not require somebody to be an entrepreneur. It requires them to be a C team at a large company. So these were great people to know. But because it was New Mexico, it was not like the bangers in YPO. It was, the big companies in New Mexico. So it was a big fish in a very, very, very small pond. And having come from Los Angeles and come from San Diego previously, it was not like the entrepreneurs that I'm used to connecting with, right? Who own the hugest clothing companies, who own chains of coffee shops or breweries or dispensaries, or who are the leading edge of tech companies. Those are and music and entertainment. Those are sort of the entrepreneurs that were always my homies. And so I wanted to create a group of like cooler entrepreneurs that I could bounce ideas off of and they could bounce ideas off of me. And so I did a very traditional let the dominoes fall kind of a situation. I had quite recently become friends with Dan Caldwell from Tap Out, who I talk about all the time. I still need to have him on the show. I will have him on the show. And I had previously had the first sort of feeler conversation with Dan because we both had read Success Principles by Jackie Canfield. And I was like, look, I think I might put together this mastermind group because quite frankly, I have this baller ass office. Like it's super dope. I had a really cool crew working for me, but I didn't have like other similar entrepreneurs. And so it was so isolating. And he was like, he felt the same way. Tap Out was based out of San Bernardino. And so Dan wanted other entrepreneurs from bigger cities that he could be collaborating with that were, in cooler spaces. So I called him first and was like, hey, Dan, will you be in my mastermind group? And he was like, yeah, totally, for sure. And then as soon as I called Dan, I already knew my girlfriend, Tina Wells, would be in it, who started Buzz Marketing. And then I reached out to Jay Allard, who was like number 3 to take over for Bill Gates at Microsoft because he had invented the Xbox, or led the team that created the Xbox is a better way to say that, because of course it was a team. But he was the head of that team at Xbox, and we had become friends through being on The Apprentice. He was actually like a judge on one of the tasks, and we met at the finale. I tell that whole story on The Secrets of The Apprentice. If you want to hear that on that episode, it's on the finale episode. And Jay and I become like good friends over the years. And so I called him up and was like, hey, I have this mastermind group. It's me. And I owned the exclusive sales rights at that time on Blizzard Gaming. Minecraft was not a thing yet. This would have been like 2000. Dan is in it too. And so Jay was like, yeah, sure. Fuck, that sounds cool. So then I called Cameron Johnson, and he said that he would be in it. He's a serial entrepreneur as well, who had just been on a Oprah Winfrey's competition reality show, which only had like 1 season. And he just was this rock star entrepreneur guy. And we have these calls every such and such. It was either every 2 weeks or once a month. I literally don't remember. And we would get on the phone, and everybody was very timed. Everybody would have like 15 minutes to discuss what was going on with their company, what they most needed the help with. And we would troubleshoot. So they would take 5 minutes to explain what the most pressing issues within their companies were. And then everybody would troubleshoot for like 10 minutes. And then if somebody had a particularly interesting thing or a particular way to help that other person in the mastermind group, bing, bang, boom, no worries. They would tuck off in a private maybe call or meetup with each other to sort of help foster whatever was next for that company, and just sort of give some really good generalized advice, and also facilitate any introductions to any of the people that we knew. So it immediately expanded our network to create this mastermind group. That's the past. Now let's go to the present and the future. So as I was driving yesterday to Sedona, I was thinking about this and thinking about the mastermind group and thinking like, wow, I sort of have been doing that right now with my good friend, my super homie, Andy Stack, who I talked about in the beginning of this podcast a lot because I have a deal with Andy. Well, that deal's still in place. I know that if you just are binging the podcast and listening to the early days of the podcast, and I'm like, I'm going to have 2 million followers in a year from now, just watch. And now I have like 166 subscribers on YouTube and like a little bit over 1,000 subscribers across other audio platforms. I'm like, okay, that's really not 2 million. That's very much not 2 million. That's not even close to 2 million, is it? But that's because I haven't really pulled the trigger on promoting the podcast. There have been several points at several different months over the course of the last year where I'm like, I am absolutely going to just 1 second from now, I'm going to pull the trigger on promoting this podcast. And I haven't yet. And I've thoroughly explained why, which is that we really were not ready to pace up sales. And while it would seem to a whole lot of people at our office that like, no, we are ready, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, which we certainly were more ready than we were previously. But we didn't actually have a way to control it once we turned the faucet on. And now we do. So 8 weeks ago, Emily created this thing. It is our proprietary system of the way that we interface with our clients, and nobody else has something like this. And it allows us to control the amount of outreach and intake that we do with clients. That is really important as a small company. We are still a very small company at 2.4 million in annual revenue. And we absolutely now can handle going up to 7 million in revenue today, right now today. There would just be almost no hiccup in our client experience if we tripled sales, especially if we tripled sales with really large clients, because the back-end interface that we build for our clients is extensive, and we build it out for every single one of our clients. So now that we are at a point where we're ready to 3x our sales, I am starting to be just like slightly more active on social media. But when I am really going to just like run and pop off with it is once we hit 7 million in revenue. Because for us to go from 2.5 million to 7 million in revenue, we already are talking to the right clients for that. I set up a really attractive program similar to what I did with my mastermind after The Apprentice, where I reached out to a bunch of fucking badass serial entrepreneurs who are just homies of mine. And I ended up rendezvousing with a few of them who, like, they also are rescaling projects where they sort of thought they would never go back into entrepreneurship again. A friend of mine just reached out to me last week who's a fucking BALL. And he was like, I literally just bought a company and I swear to God, I never thought I would run another company again. So I'm going to go see if he wants to have coffee. He's also a San Diego entrepreneur and just bought a really large company and is going to scale it. And I have all these homies who are doing basically exactly that, who are launching some new big ass crazy thing. Andy Stack has launched this fucking humongous new AI company. And so I'm interfacing him with a bunch of my AI friends. And my friend Raphael, who is a producer, is expanding his career. May Fox is expanding her book line into a series of courses, etc. So I'm sort of getting back into this space where all of these super homies, like people that I can just call up when I am falling on the floor crying, failing, and just say, help me figure out what to do next in my business, are part of my inner sort of mastermind circle. And I can call them up, not only with advice, but with like, hey, I need more business right now. Do you know anybody who needs a whole lot of stickers? Let me offer you a super duper fantastical affiliate rate for the next 2 years. I'll give you 10% of any client that you bring me for the next 2 years through our internal affiliate program. And it's not a program that we open to the public. It's a very high touch program because what I've realized is we actually don't need a lot of the low dollar, $60 at a time sales. Those are great. We love those. And we treat those clients the same exact way that we treat our Fortune 500s. So now that I have this cadre of dope ass people that are in my inner circle, it's sort of assuring this future. Brian came up with a fantastic analogy to explain to our team. Like, for example, Sasha had reached out to me and said, hey, I have on like Sunday morning at 9:00 on Sunday morning. And she's like, oh, this could totally wait until Monday. But I was wondering, like, why aren't we doing more Instagram ads? And then she had these fantastic example ads that I myself has seen. And it was like, oh my God, those ads are so good for like 9 stickers for $50 or 10 stickers for $1 or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, we don't do that because there's 2 kinds of marketing. Now, these are not technical terms. This is something that I don't have an MBA. I didn't go to school. These are things that I am saying. There's sort of 2 types of marketing in my mind, in the way that I think about it. There's like conversion marketing and there's branding marketing. And right now in the situation that we're in at Sticker Junkie, we can only afford to do marketing that actually converts into sales. If we spend dollars on some type of customer outreach or some kind of marketing, it must have a sale attached to it, because we do not have fuck around money, because we will in fact find out. We do not have some big baller budget to just sort of cast a wide net and just take a hit on that first order, because the first time that you order something like that, it's a loss leader, right? So you get those first 50 stickers for $9, and then the person that's getting that first acquisition, they understand what their long-term metrics are. So they're like, well, this is the lifetime customer value of a customer of us. And if we grab them at that first order and give them a smoking deal, then that's going to work out real great for us. Well, for us to produce 50 stickers actually costs like $45. And so there's no way that we could do 50 stickers for $9. We literally would be losing $34 per sale if we were selling stickers for $9. And that's if everything goes right. If there is an issue with that sticker, you're going to have to reprint the sticker, which is going to cost you another $45. Like, it's wild. It's insane. And we can't compete in that same way. And the analogy that Brian came up with this week, he had like heard on a podcast somewhere, and he was like, oh my God, I love this. And I'm like, I love this too. And it was that lions, totally capable of hunting field mice. A lion with incredible precision and accuracy, just like any cat, could go kill field mice all day and then eat the field mice. Except for that would create a calorie deficit for the lion. And the lion would end up starving. Literally, they would die of starvation because they literally would have burned more calories in the hunting and killing of the mouse than they got in reward for the mouse. And that is the same position that we're in with trying to do branded marketing. The company that she was looking at does $60 million in annual revenue. And I have a pretty really good guess of what all of my competitors do in annual revenue because I'm me. And I can tell if I just get even one metric of theirs, I can run a whole calculation. If they have on their website how many people work for them, I have a very good idea of how much they're doing in revenue, etc. And so, because for example, we have 16 people and we're doing 2.4 million. We can go easily up to 4 million with 16 people. We'll probably hire 2 more people when we approach the $4 million mark, etc. So I can just tell as people scale how much you're going to need for each dollar amount if people are running an efficient company. And so I'm smart because I'm fucking smarty pants. I know how I sound when I say that, but I've been a business person for a really long time. And I am a numbers kind of a gal. You would flip your fucking lid if you could peek under the hood into my trading system because I wrote it myself. And it is a series of spreadsheets and it is brilliant and they all talk to each other in a fancy pantsy way. And I do the same level of number crunching internally within Sticker Junkie. So I know the metrics of my company. So when I look at people running loss leaders, I literally sometimes I can see from the size of their company that they actually can't afford to be doing that. And so it's probably robbing them of all of the profit that they're making off of their larger clients. But it is a painstaking step by step by step by step to land the type of clients that we're landing right now. You'll notice I have been back in this company for 2 years and 2 months. Oh, that's right, you guys. We hit the 27-month mark. Holy smokes, of working all day, every day for 27 months. You have no idea how relieved I will be when I'm out from under the promise to myself that I would work all day, every day for 27 months because mommy is ready for a break. Yes, she is. So as we're running down this next alleyway to get to that $7 million in revenue, all of a sudden, this little mastermind cadre that I have sort of been spinning together for the last year is really helping. Because as soon as I landed our first Fortune 100 client and in confidence told people who are NDA'd with me that this is one of our new clients, like, let's go, let's run fast, give me your biggest introductions. Fortune 100s are immediately converting over to us when they speak with us. Fortune 500, same thing, because of the level of care that we give, the level of precision, our turn time is crazy fast. Our customer service is insanely fast, and our back-end interfaces, from what I have seen, completely unparalleled for anywhere else. Obviously, as you would expect for someone that likes ease and UX UI design as much as I do, and design in general and beautiful things, our interfaces are beautiful. And they also solve problems for our clients. I'm not even going to say which ones, because then my competitors can try and gappy me. No, thank you to you. If you are from one of my competitors and you are watching me today, hello. This is a huge space. There truly actually just is room for everybody in this space, period. This is a massive, massive, massive industry. It is $42 billion in annual revenue. And as soon as we move forward and buy label machines and start taking over the label business for food packaging products, woo, just stop it right now. Just stop it right now. So as we're moving forward and building and scaling this company, I also have started to teach my whole staff about metrics, about entrepreneurship, and the reasoning behind why we do something or don't do something. But you bet your fucking bottom dollar that Monday morning I Zoomed with Sasha and said, girl, you don't even know how happy I am that that is what you're thinking about on a Sunday morning, because I don't require my employees to be thinking 24 hours a day about business, but she's going about her life and she loves this job and she's coming up on her 3-month anniversary with us, and she's just thinking of different ways that she can be adding even more value. And I'm like, that's great. I want you to take all of the advertisements that you like. I want you to screenshot them. I want you to put them in a little folder, because when we do cross that 40 or $50 million in revenue mark, that might be an alleyway that we run down. And she's like, oh yeah, I already have been doing that. And I'm like, just big heart eyes, just heart bubbles popping off my head. I'm like, that is exactly right. That is exactly what I want from people on my staff, is for them to be thinking that their future is here for Sticker Junkie, that they themselves understand what it means when the company hits 7 million in revenue. I just got to have this badass team meeting with my people, and I'm like, look, you guys, we're at $6,500 a day average. Our sales are up in the last 8 weeks by 20% because I have been running my little tail off to take client meetings, to get more sales, to sign up my very few incredibly high touch business homies who are now our affiliates, to bring us more and more clients, and to bring us more of the type of clients that are buying, $30,000 or $20,000 a year plus worth of stickers. One of our affiliates, who's fucking rad, I'll see if I have permission to say his name, just brought us a fucking rad client who is just like a super great person, really great company, and buys about $100,000 worth of stickers a year. And I'm like, I need 50 more of those, please. Right now, today, let's go. And so that's the type of sales acquisition that we're deep in. So that's your update on the present. And for the future, we absolutely are going to do everything that I said at the beginning of the podcast, where I'm like, we'll have 2 million subscribers by such and such. I just haven't pulled the trigger with Andy yet. And but I'm gonna do that when we're closer to like $7 million in revenue, because for us to go from 2.4 million in revenue to 7 million in revenue has way more requirements. We have to figure out how to land all of that additional equipment. We have to hire on these new people. And when you're scaling a company by 500% per year, that is a lot of percent per year to be scaling. That requires eyes on everything. And in the beginning of it, you're virtually always tight on cash when you're scaling. And seeing I did trash my credit, and my credit, spoiler alert, is still trashed. It's hard because we're buying our equipment in cash. That is actually my preference. I like to buy things in cash. I don't like to carry debt. It's wild to me that I do still have $2.2 million in debt. Yes, the debt did start at 1.84 million, and then it went up from there because we've been running at a loss most months for the last 2 years. And then sometimes break even, barely break even. And it's just in the last 2 months that we've had months that are just baby above break even. And now we're about to have months that are like double from where we are now. I would be shocked if by January or February our number wasn't $9,000 a day average, and then from there $12,000 a day average, etc. And going from the 2.4 to 7 requires so much more of a balancing act than going from like 7 million to 21 million, right? Because when you're at 7 million, you have all this extra cash. So we can just land like 3 or 4 or even 10 more Sumas or some Zuns, some of these big baddie bad boy cutting machines that cost like 70 grand each for a Suma, 120,000 each for a Zund. And we can really start to expand because we're going to have additional profit and revenue to be able to pour money into the expansion. Where right now we have to like onboard the new clients, get the new orders in, get the dollars in the door, and then go buy the equipment. As soon as we can start future pacing, which we'll be able to do in like January or February, then it is game over. It is lights out. It is like, we have fucking got this. We have got this. So while I know that I sound crazy, I sound like a crazy person when I say that I'm going to do 500% per year every year for 5 years. That's fucking lunacy. That's coming in from doing $500,000 in year 1 to by year 5 doing $1 billion in revenue. As I have very thoroughly canvassed, might we just stop when we hit 250 million? Absolutely yes. Might it go significantly slower once we hit 250 million to $1 billion? Yes. It might go way slower. It might be more like 10 or 15% growth per year once we're at 250 million. Or we might expand into different product categories and take over all of the packaging business from a particular client, or all of the whatever our biggest clients want. And because we have such tight, cohesive relationships with our large clients, we can just literally ask them, like, what do you want the most next? Because we sure would be pleased as fucking punch to give it to you. And then work out a situation for contract printing in advance where they say, yeah, if you onboard this many millions of dollars more of whatever type of equipment, then we would happily transfer all of our business over to you and have a very secure situation going on in advance. So right now, we are still currently doing things that is not a thing that a company would be thinking of doing until they are at 20 or 30 million dollars in revenue. We are still tying up the bows on all of those things. Some of it is new product rollout. Some of it also is a new nifty idea that I have with bringing back the other company that we are simultaneously re-rolling back out right now, which is delinquent distribution. I used to distribute $40 million worth of products annually. I know how to do that. And so we have our artists program, our artist in residence program that we're spinning up that we're going to launch really soon here. We were going to launch it in time for Black Friday. I don't know if that's the case or if we're going to launch it as people are restocking their shelves in January. But hopefully we get it launched in time for Black Friday, at least a mini version of it. But regardless, everything that we're doing, we're not doing to right now, this second, have something. We're doing stuff to have a long-term, next 7 to 10 year security safety in this business. And there was another part of delinquent distribution that I believe that I'm going to bring back, which is being actually just a distributor. So put that feather in your cap, even if you don't quite understand what it means right now, because that's going to come around later. I'm going to talk about that a whole bunch come next April. So as we're coming down this road of being at 2.4 million in revenue, of increasing our sales in the last 8 weeks by 20%, of being on the lookout to increase our sales by another 75% in the next 2 months, which we're looking good for. It's not even like you just only have to do the amount of thought and amount of planning and about of gaming it out to hit the next metric of 7 million. It's our next metric, of course, is 4 million and then 7 and then 10. I also have to be thinking out like, wait, how then am I going to go from 10 to 50? Because we're laying all of the groundwork for all of those things now, right now. And the more future in advance paced stuff that we do where we prep it in advance, then the easier that the execution is going to be to actually just go from 10 million to 20 million, from 20 to 50. It'll end up being like quite fast. Just yesterday, I have this new neighbor in Sedona who I hadn't met before, and we're connecting and we're laughing, and he's a business guy too. And we're just talking, and I go, yeah, I'm on this little mission to do 500% increase in revenue every year for the next 5 years. And like the look of, he's like, what? 500%? The look of shock on his face. And I'm like, I know I sound like a crazy person when I say that. I know that I do, but I'll fucking tell you what, I sound a whole lot less crazy right now when I walked into this company at $500,000 in revenue. And the first year, there was no growth. There was no growth at all. That first year, there was just work. It was just figuring out stuff. And then the second year we did 482%. And right now we're on track to do about 500% again this year. I'm just like, just watch me. And he's like, I said, oh yeah, I have a podcast on how to do it. And he's like, I'm literally, and then he texted me last night. He's like, I'm literally listening right now. I'm like, cool. As well you should. Because you guys are on the journey with us. When I come back in January, the sales are either going to have increased or they're not. Those are the two options when I revisit numbers then. But they will have, because our target is by January or February to get to $9,000 a day in revenue. Right now, currently, we're at 65. When we hit that $9,000 in revenue, that's when the next big pay bump comes for my staff. That's also when the next big hiring comes in for our staff. So we'll be able to afford to hire more designers. We'll be able to afford to hire a couple more people into production. And I'm so excited for that. I think maybe the person on our staff who is the most excited by that, well, is me, because I'm going to be not broke. Then everybody else who is excited is all of the people that I owe money to are very excited about that, because they're going to start to get huge quantities of payback very, very soon. But it might be Chance on my staff, because Chance is still like wanting to move over into just doing booths full time, but still being sucked into production because we don't have the work for a full-time booth guy yet. But all of the stuff that we're rolling out and is coming quickly, so that we'll be able to, and quite frankly, we were just talking about this yesterday, Brian and I, we're relocating our offices in April, somewhere in San Diego, and we're going to build out a showroom in the front office space. So we are specifically now looking for offices where we can build out a showroom. And I'm like, Chance is going to be busy building out that showroom and building out like really cool different areas to display different, products that we're going to be having in the front there. And he's going to be busy with that. And also, we'll probably build a model booth. We for sure will build a model booth that we have in the showroom so people can actually come physically see the different booths that we offer for sale, as well as all of our new products and all of the different things that we're coming out with very, very soon. And just all of these different things that we're doing. So, in the time frame that we're in, where I am negotiating deals for us down the road of when we are a $20 million company. Some very frustrating things happened this week. So lastly, we're going to round out this podcast, as I promised, by talking about mindset and what to do when you just have a legitimately fucking frustrating week. So when I have these things that come up that are legitimately just frustrating as fuck, right? One of them is an issue with a supplier. One of them is an issue with a contractor that we were doing services with. And both of them are super fucking frustrating, right? Momentary, one of them more frustrating than the other. And then I have to go into all kinds of legal strategy, which nobody likes that idea in one of those situations. And in the other situation, it's just way more easygoing than that. I just will not work with that vendor either. There's lots of different vendors that I can work with in the business that I have. What do you do when you're so frustrated that you can barely breathe? Because there legitimately was like an hour of my day, one day this week. I think it was like Wednesday or something where I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? When we are behaving with our duckies in a row and dotting our I's and crossing our T's, then we are really well covered legally. And then somebody just does something fucking cuckoo pants crazy that is very far outside of what our legal agreement is and doesn't understand that, like, you can't just go do that. Because they can just go do that, and then there'll be consequences for them doing what they did and whatever, but you can do whatever you want. It just isn't going to work out very well for anyone. And it is the slowest and most expensive route possible. So I have no idea why this person is doing this, but fucking whatever, people be peopling. The only thing in a situation like that that I can control is my reaction and my response. There is no other thing that I am capable of controlling. As I'm driving to Sedona and I started to think about this situation again, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is bringing life force energy through me. All of a sudden, I am like so at attention in this and having this like legal strategy run through my mind and sort of running through this imaginary conversation in my head for the next step of who I'm going to have to speak with about this particular situation. And all of a sudden, I stopped because I felt my emotions rising up. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't ever want to be getting like life force energy and emotional response through a negative situation like this. I want to figure out instead how to feel this enlivened and this problem solvy and this integrated and this focused in a positive direction on the growth and building of the company. And so that is what I do. When I'm in a situation like that, I just stop and I say, hey, look, neither one of these two situations, not with the supplier and not with the service contractor, neither one of these is going to matter in 2 years from now. These are going to be behind me in a year from now. This is going to get resolved one way or another. If it goes a legal route, then it might be 2 or 3 years, but like, this is not going to be a long-term problem for me. This is going to get solved in some way. And my adversary in this situation is trying to solve it in a way that is perplexing to me. However, let's just fucking figure out what the resolution is and move this off my plate, because I want 100% of my time and my focus and my life force energy to be into the fucking amazing team that I'm building at Sticker Junkie, and also the growth of the sales and my fucking totally incredible clients that I have over at Sticker Junkie. We're just about to roll out this year's Trader Joe's goodie boxes that we surprise all of our clients with. And I'm so excited because we have so many new clients this year that we didn't have last year. So I'm so excited also for the team vibe. We're going to have like festive dress up stuff and a different fun food thing each day because everybody's going to rotate in and out of packing these like 1,000 or 2,000 or however many top tier clients we have at the end of the year. I honestly don't know exactly how many of them that we have because we just run metrics and say, have you spent more than $1,500 with us this year? If so, you're going to get a little prezi in the mail. And most of the times when I get presents in the mail from places, they're shitty. They're just like some fucking bullshit thing that's like not really what I want. Or like a lot of people bring really heavily scented candles and I hate scents. So I'm always like, this is a very strange thing to bring to people. I have found that Trader Joe's is just universally loved because they have all these cool little snack items and stuff. So we're going to do that in combination with a gift directly from Sticker Junkie and a really good gift certificate from us. Our gift certificates probably will stay around the same that they were last year, but they are significant gift certificates. They're for like hundreds of dollars, so that all of the people that order from us can go get this really great experience, this high touch experience of like a package that shows them how much we actually care about them as clients, because we do. We don't have a business without our clients. And the other thing that we don't have a business without is our team. So this week at Sticker Junkie, oh man, I don't even know how the addings committee came up with this idea. It's fucking blowing my mind. They came up with Spirit Week at Sticker Junkie. So every single day of Halloween week, people dressed up in costumes. So the dress up days were Neon Day. Everybody was like decked out in all the neon day glow colors. Pajamas Day, Twins Day, Eras Day, where everybody chose a different decade or era to dress from. And today is actually Halloween proper. So they dressed up for Halloween. And like the vibe at the Sticker Junkie office is so fun, so playful. My people are so fucking creative. They banged it out of the park on Halloween weekend. Today, there's a bunch of prizes for the Sticker Junkie dress up for everybody that was participating in that, and like who had the best, most creative costumes. And like, I'm so excited for the whole fucking thing. Unfortunately, I was working remote all week because I had so much stuff to do, but I would like zoom in every day and see people's costumes. And we are 1,000,000% going to carry forward the tradition of Spirit Week for Halloween at Sticker Junkie. It was like the funnest time. And of course, we supplemented it and ordered some things so that people who didn't want to go spend money on costumes could grab like the neon gloves or whatever other things that we had for people's days to dress up as. But it was bomb. It was so much fun. And just the vibe at the office couldn't be better. Every team member on my whole team is in it to win it. Every team member on my whole team wants to build their career at Sticker Junkie. And it took us 1.5 years of having employees to get that solid team of people that were like very confident that virtually everyone on the team is going, unless life takes them elsewhere in some weird way, they're going to be in this for their career. And that feels fucking awesome. And to tell everybody like, hey, we have a metric. We should be there by January or February when we hit that $9,000 a day. And I'm me. So even if we're close, even if it were like 82 or 85 or something where I know it's sustainable, we'll go ahead and implement the next series of raises and the next series of hires. Man, I can't understand still. I'll never understand why everyone doesn't run their business the way that I run my business. Because when people like going to work, they're valued for their creativity if they have that type of job. But people in the shipping department are valued for their contribution, for their creativity, for how they pack boxes, for the vibe that they bring into the office. Everyone is valued at my office for the contribution that they bring to the team. There is no team without the whole team. That there's no team without people that are doing the jobs that people in other companies look at as like the lower jobs. There's no lower jobs. Like every part of it is the touch point for our clients. And every part of it needs to exist for our team. And so we want the vibe to be equally as high in shipping as we do in production, as we do in design, as we do in customer service, as we do in our Talking Heads team. We just want everybody to love what they're doing and to bring their best and to contribute in the way that they contribute through their job in this company. And we want them to have a really good time while they're doing it, because people who are having fun also work really hard. People who love working for this company want this company to grow. And so they add their contributions to make sure that that happens. And that's exactly what's happening. I'm so excited to finally be able to report growth in this company. And pretty soon it will be a hockey stick of growth, because that is the type of introductions we're getting right now and the type of clients that we're closing. All right, you guys, that's it for this episode of Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire. Join us next week on the pod. Grab your wine, grab your popcorn, and as always, I will bring all of the tea.